Good morning, world. It's Carpo at work again. And the reason why I make my videos at work is because I have all these thoughts in my head at night and in the morning, and then when I get here, before I'm ready to work, I do some thinking. So I figure I'll bring my camera. Um, anyway, some interesting things that I was thinking about this morning was, well, the way that we perceive things as individuals and the world around us, and how sometimes we forget that we're these amazing creatures. And it saddens me when I see people forget those kind of things. Like, how do I better express that? When I see people get so wrapped up in their mundane entrapments that we've created for ourselves, that they miss out on many of the exciting things. And maybe it'd be better to say the less exciting things that you can make more exciting if you choose to. And I find wonder in everything, in every leaf. Driving up to work, I was looking at some hedges on the side of the road, and my thoughts are always, what can I learn from these hedges, or whatever I'm looking at. And I noticed how they were square, cut to shape, manicured. And I thought, wow, what a human creation. We want to box in our plants and make them look shapely. We want to control nature. We want to harness nature. Just thoughts like that they just crack me up, and I think every day I see something that's more and more amazing. And I start to live that way as the norm. And then when I meet other people that don't, I just kind of blow it off and say, well, they're just another unhappy person. And that's not right. I want other people to be as enthralled as I am, but it's not my right to tell them that life's that interesting. The story I wanted to tell real quick was the guy I work with. A new guy started here about a month and a half ago or something, and the way I do work, I'm a carpenter and I do things the way I want to do them. We don't really have a foreman. We have a guy who owns the company, and he comes and goes. He's stopped for about an hour a day, but nobody's really in charge, and that's hard for some people. They need a foreman to ask what to do next, who to do what. Well, the guy was here, he might be, I'm like 37, he might be in his early 40s, not sure. But he has that, no offense, that construction attitude, that's carried along where this is the way we do things and this and that. And anyway, he was kind of a dick. He's just been kind of a dick since he started. Rather than letting that get to me, I just choose to ignore him. Every morning when he gets here, I'm just like, hey, what's up, dude? And he's like, meh. Doesn't say shit. So yesterday morning, we're in here unloading our tools and stuff, and he comes up to me and he's like, hey, I just need to clear the air. This is bugging me. I was like, what? And he said, you might have thought I've been a dick lately. And I was like, yeah, you seem like you are, but I just avoid you. That was being cool, and that was the thing. He said, I'm not going to go through the whole story here, but he basically said that he was upset because he was used to doing construction a certain way, and when he started here, he expected things to be different than they are. And I said, welcome to the club. The owner of the company really doesn't know much about construction itself, so he kind of leaves it up to us, but then he won't let us make decisions, and he gets upset when not upset, but he wants things done differently, so we get kind of frustrated. I've learned to cope with that. And he hasn't. So I realized, one second. So he told me that he was upset, that the reason why he's been a dick is because he's upset because there have been things left behind for him to finish here that I hadn't finished. And I realized what he was talking about after I asked him. And there was a soffit outside that the boss wanted me to route her off flat a certain way. Then he got back with the materials for my cabinets. I left to go do cabinets, and he ended up having to plane it, spend 20 minutes planing it. And he said, I was laying in bed and I was just stewing in it last night, and I realized I had to talk to you. And I'm like, wait a minute. You've been stewing over this one little 20-minute work segment for 3 weeks or a month now? I said, that's really unhealthy to harbor that kind of a resentment. And he probably expected me to get defensive and start defending. But I didn't at all. I just said, hey, we need communication. If you have a problem with me or you need something resolved, you talk to me about it. But don't go along carrying that resentment because it's only hurting you. You're being harmed by it and you feel shitty about it. I don't. I go on with my day. I don't think anything about it. I told him straight up. I said, honestly, I just thought you were an asshole and I decided to avoid you because there's plenty of assholes in construction. And I could tell he really, really tried after that to be more friendly the rest of the day. Like, I think he realized that I wasn't this person who was going to jump back down his throat. And even though I know that I'm in the right, I know that I'm justified. I mean, there's little things that he had to finish. This is how construction is. You get something done a certain way, then a person has to go on to another job and do something else, and then somebody else finishes it. Yeah, it's not the greatest thing, but it happens. But it's no reason to pent up resentment for a month. And then I thought about it, and I said later, actually, you were a dick to me from the beginning. Before we did any work. I said, you've been grumpy at me. He jumped down my throat because I was talking to somebody else about something, and he thought I was talking about him, and he's like, oh, just let it go. And I was like, dude, you mind your own business. I'm not even talking about you or to you. And I think that set us off on the wrong foot. But you don't jump down on somebody's throat that you don't know. And so anyway, my point to that was that 10 years ago, probably, if he had come up to me and said that, I would have been, oh, how dare he? I get flustered, not angry, but it would bruise my ego. Okay, I'll be honest. I think that's what it would probably be. It'd bruise my ego, and I would get upset about it because, I know my business. I know construction. This is how it is. But instead of defending myself, I just took it as an experience. Just said, oh, it is what it is. He goes home to his life, whatever he's got to do. It has no bearing on me whatsoever. I go home to my life. And when I mentioned that he was a dick before we even did any work together, he said, well, back then I had some stuff going on in my personal life. And I said, yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? That's the number one excuse you can't use in work. You can't say, sorry, I'm having a rough home life. That's bullshit. Everybody has issues in life, but you don't carry that to work with you, just like you don't take your work home with you. And some people do. Obviously, he was taking his work home with him because he was stewing and thinking about me, and then he'd take his home life to work because he was upset about something else. And my whole point to telling that story was that I see every moment as an opportunity to change and grow and be a better person. And I learned from my mistakes, and it's so much easier not to fight against the current. Obviously, if somebody tells you something isn't true about yourself, you're going to take offense to that. But if someone is telling you something that is true, that's when people get the most defensive, is when people call people out on stuff. And so in the long run, I'm not going to stew over somebody else's stewing over stuff. We just work and we go home, and when we leave, I go look at all the mountains and shit on the way home and look at the leaves on the trees and enjoy my day. And perhaps he goes and listens to a sports game, or I don't know what other people do. But the most important thing is for us to realize that each person, even if you work together at a workplace, we all have different home lives, and realize that even at home with our family, each of those home life people have a different external life, wherever they go, work, play. The most important thing for, I think, people to learn is to embrace what you have, and to realize how important and amazing life really is. Because, I'm trying really hard to teach my teenager that. He's almost 19 now. I mean, what can I say? That this job that you have isn't really that important. That things will change and you're going to have to accept them for what they are. That the most important thing is to look inward and to know yourself before you know the world. You can't teach these to a teenager, It takes time and life experience. So each person comes into their own, and this is why the philosophers in history were always so old, because by the time they got into real philosophy, they were almost dead. Not true, of course, but anyway, just don't forget that you're yes, you're a human, and yes, you live on this planet, and yes, it's confusing, and we don't know why we're here, and we always have these stories and ideas. Don't forget that the worst fear, the worst thing that can happen is you die. And that might not even be a bad thing, right? So just go along with your daily life. Forget about the details, forget about the mundane crap. Just be. And accept everything for what it is. Peace.